About Oprah's spiritual advisor, Marianne Williamson. Now, a lot of things, she's adding, we need her for the discussion, okay? She said there's going to be dark days for Democrats if they don't get their shit together, and she's right about that. So Marianne Williamson, she said she actually felt dirty when they asked her about Medicare for all. So they said, do you agree with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren on Medicare for all? And she was like, actually, no, I hear the others. So she doesn't want to kill all private insurance companies. She was open to changing this perspective later on. But Medicare for all Americans, she's opposed to it. She wants the private insurance companies to have, a piece of the pie, make sure they sit at the table. So the best reason to support Bernie Sanders and his Medicare for all plan, he's going to have to get it through the Senate, so it's going to get watered down no matter what. So he's got the best hand. He's got 4 aces versus, they got, a pair? So he's got 4 aces. His hand is going to make the insurance companies, the private insurance companies, beg and beg and beg until they get a seat at the table. That's better in terms of negotiating. Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan is the correct place to be for the negotiation, right? Is there any doubt that these private insurance companies are going to get their greedy paws, their filthy, greedy paws upon our Medicare for All, our universal health care? Of course they will. Okay, so Marianne Williamson, she said she felt dirty, but she did oppose it. So when Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders is kung fu fighting everybody, Marianne Williamson decided to try to cut them down too. Later on, she's going to say, I don't even know why some of you are Democrats. Well, she wasn't a Democrat on this issue. So she has the correct rhetoric, but she's opposed to plans. So she's not going to, get a plan to go and do anything. Whereas Elizabeth Warren, she's got plans for everything. She's got a plan to take on Mitch McConnell. She's got a plan for everything. Marianne Williamson, she doesn't have any plans, which is, that's not a good thing because she believes in reparations and she believes in this and that. But who gives a shit what you believe in if you don't have a plan to get there? How are you going to get us there? You got to show us the path. That's, kirit sugu. If you don't have the, vision for how you're going to accomplish your goals, you're not going to accomplish your goals. So Marianne Williamson, she's not an anti-vaxxer, but she does promote skepticism, which is smart, but she may be too skeptical. She's written that sickness is an illusion. There's no such thing as sickness. It doesn't even exist. Sickness is an illusion. Cancer and AIDS and other diseases are really just physical manifestations of a psychic scream. So it's all just natural. It's just all, just believe in the holistic goodness of the whole thing. So that's too far. Cancer and AIDS are physical manifestations of a psychic scream. I think it's a little bit more than that. I think people do just get diseases. But I think, healthy lifestyle and to be skeptical, I think those are good things. She's also opposed to antidepressants, and I am in a way too. We overprescribe this shit. Being human doesn't require prescription pills. We need to learn, to understand ourselves, and then to the point of relationships. I just learned this in my, the fall of my life. Shit. But when it comes to relationships, the whole point of relationship is to encourage the other person to be the best version of themselves that they could be. That's the point of a relationship. Someone said it's not mutually beneficial. It is. If a relationship is just benefiting one person and not the other, that's a bad relationship. That is a bad relationship. The point of relationships is to encourage the other person to be the best version of themselves that they could be. So this video is just about the math of Marianne Williamson's reparations, okay? So you have several people saying that they're in favor of reparations, but Marianne Williamson has led on this conversation, and if she'll get us reparations, I think, yes, she'll push for it until, either we get it or until the Congress kills it and it goes nowhere. She was saying that Medicare for all, well, she was worried that we wouldn't be able to beat Trump if everybody got universal health care, but reparations is going to be the issue that gets us to the top. Give me a break. Reparations is more controversial than Medicare for all, and she doesn't have a plan to get there, so, okay. It's the criticism, her criticisms against, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren was ridiculous. She did admit that she felt dirty for, essentially disagreeing with Bernie. They were kung fu fighting all the conservative Democrats, and Marianne Williamson stood on the side of the conservative Democrats. If she evolves on this issue, which is possible, then that would be great. But if she doesn't, she's already told us where she stands. She's not for universal health care. She's for a private insurance company, and then they'll buy out the Obamacare and all that. So let's go through the numbers. Essentially, it's going to be a $12,000 500 check for every single black American. So you have 40 million black folks in America, 2016. That's the estimate, 40 million. So if you just take $500 billion divided by 40 million, that's a $12,500. So that's a $12,500 check for every black individual in America. Now, let's look at overall America, okay? There's 327 million Americans. We are the third largest by population in the world. So we're the third largest country in terms of people, 327 million. Only China and India beats us. And they got a billion, so they got, 3 times, 4 times the amount that we have. But we're a large country, 327 million of us. In 2017, it was estimated that there's 22% Hispanic, 62% white, and then 14% black and 6% Asian. And so, let's see, 2015 estimate. So that's interesting to me, okay, because a lot of times it's like white people are 70% and black folks are 20%, and then Hispanic, they say that there's Hispanic whites and non-Hispanic whites. And so they kind of just, get Hispanics and kind of just soak them into the whites. So you don't know how many Hispanics versus whites versus, you don't know brown versus black versus whites. But we, okay, so we get general picture. So you got 246 million whites, which is 78% of the population. So there's Hispanic whites too. So some polls say that white people make up 78% of the population. Some say 62% of the population. And then eventually by 2060, the white people are going to be the minority. There's only going to be 48% white, and then 24% Hispanic, 14% Asian, and 13% black. So when whites become the minority, that's also black folks are going to stay the minority. Asians and Hispanic are, being projected to. We're going to have more Hispanics and more Asians in this country than black folks. It seems like black folks are going to be stagnant till 2055. Okay, so we got 78% whites or 62% whites, depending upon where the Hispanics are situated. But there's about 22% Hispanic, so you probably could take 22% off the top, right? So there's probably about 60% white, right? 22% Hispanic, 62% white. That's probably more accurate. 14% black, 6% Asian. And then non-Hispanic whites are 63%. Okay, so there we go. That's how many white people we have. Brown people's about 20-something%. Black people are about 14%. And so, 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 are white. The majority of America is white. 2016, they said that there was 40 million blacks. Right, 2017 said there was 14% black. So 40 million blacks represents about 14% of the total population. And then the total population of America is supposed to be 417 million by 2060. And so that's actually, I would think it'd be more. That's not even 100 million more people. So by 2060, in the next 40 years, we're not even going to get 100 more million people. So, compared to China and India, which got 1 billion people apiece, I feel like, people that bitch about overpopulation, they're in favor of genocide and, war and destruction because, well, there's just too many people. There's a lot of just arid, desolate land in America, so we got room for more people. And we can also figure this out, right? We can figure out how to share. Anyways, so yeah, that's how much. So she said before at the debates it would be about $100 billion, $200 billion, maybe $500 billion. And I think $500 billion, we're actually getting off cheap, okay? So here's some commentary of the whole thing. I support reparations. Now, if black folks get a $12,000 check, I feel like the deal is that it's good for black and white folks, and it's kind of a mixed legacy of black or for brown folks. So brown folks are kind of in a weird position with reparations. So the whole deal of reparations is every black person gets $12,500 check put into their pocket. So if you're a black person and you get $12,000 in your pocket, you can't complain about slavery no more. You got to shut the fuck up about slavery. Okay? Slavery, there's the residual effects of slavery, there's institutional racism, and there's actually the whole black and white that comes from slavery, the distinction between black and white. So slavery has, it's a historical insult, and we need to repair the damage that slavery had brought to our black folks. So I support reparations because of that. Now, personally, I endured a de facto slavery when I was younger. Apparently, farmers don't have to abide by the child labor laws. And this is actual slavery, working for someone else for free, getting nothing for it. Writing down the money, but then at the end, it's just getting deleted, and you have no way to say anything. You're a slave. You can't say nothing. You got no rights. Shut the hell up. I get to steal your damn money. I get to make you work for free. Now, black folks today, so when Malcolm X talks about, standing up against the oppressors and, we need to change our ways, we just keep on making their wealth bigger and bigger when we're not helping ourselves. I hear those things. I hear those things probably more than most people hear those things. So when black folks, compared to today's black folks, there might be some, that were children of farmers who abused child labor laws, abused children, and enslaved their own kids. So some of that might still, go on. But a lot of folks that are living in the cities, well, they're not, slaves, okay? So I endured a de facto slavery where many black folks have not. Many white folks, brown folks, and black folks have not. So I endured a slavery. Anybody going to apologize to me? Anybody going to pay me any reparations? So that's why I feel like if reparations is passed, then that means a generation who did not impose slavery paid another generation who didn't endure slavery a $12,000, $500 check for the historical insult of slavery to black folks. So I'm okay with this. But just, understand that situation. Understand that a generation, I'm anti-racist. I have no plans. I don't defend. I'm very, anti-Confederate, and I stand up for black people being people. So a generation of white folks who did not put slavery upon black folks are paying another generation of black folks who never even experienced slavery $12,000, $12,500. That's why, my God, if you said to me, hey, all right, you keep on complaining about the Irish potato famine. If we give you $10,000, Irish people, you got to quit bitching about that potato famine. The potato famine was awful. It was terrible. And to point it out into its historical context, but if you get a reparations check, then that means that all is forgiven. All is forgiven. So you can say, historically that happened, but you can't say that, well, this thing happened and that's why we're here today. I mean, you can still make that argument, but we got reparations, so reparations offsets, the effects of slavery. And, who couldn't use $12,000 in their pocket? Who couldn't use, so in a way, because people that have not imposed slavery are paying people who didn't endure slavery, isn't that a kind of tax? Isn't that a kind of slavery for whites and browns into, they're turning white people and black people into kind of slaves, not like direct slaves, not the horrible slavery, but everybody's going to be paying more taxes, and then those taxes are only going to be redistributed into the pockets of American black folks, which I said I'm okay with, but for brown folks, I mean, they're in a precarious situation now, aren't they? I mean, they could have been on the side of the oppressor. They could have been the ones who were oppressed. They could have been neutral. Those are the only three that they could be. So they're either on the, white slave master side. They were the ones being enslaved. They were the ones doing the enslaving, or they were off to their side doing their own thing. So, I mean, I feel like we should probably do something for brown folks. But again, it's not, slavery, but it's taxes are being raised. Black people are going to get benefits from the increased taxes of whites and browns. So that's not fair. That is just not fair. So, we're going to have to endure kind of a little bit of reverse racism, right? So, we're correcting a wrong. We're righting a wrong that should have been corrected a long time ago. And again, I'm okay with it, but I guess white people get something, they get exonerated. Black people get a check. What about brown people? So I think there is a big gaping hole in Marianne Williamson's plan, and she needs to, work through this. So Marianne Williamson explained to me, where do brown people stand? Will people who's 10% black, 50% black, how are you going to determine who's black and who's not? What they say? Or is it how they identify themselves? Is that who the black people are? Or is it going to be the DNA test for everybody? So you're going to have to get DNA tests for everybody, and then you're going to have to have results so there's going to be a lot of bureaucracy to this. Now, you know, I'm okay with reparations because I believe that the historical insult of slavery is bullshit and it's had residual effects today, specifically institutional racism, but outright racism too. So Marianne Williamson, she's going to get $500 billion, and every black person in America is going to get $12,500 check, and then we're done. That's it, okay? So that's a chunk of change, $500 billion. But if you actually calculated the 40 acres and a mule standard of William Tecumseh Sherman, those damn radical Republicans should have just given the plantations to the slaves who worked them. That would have been, you know, poetic justice. The people that work the farms should be able to run the farms. We didn't need the damn plantation minority. You didn't need those lazy-ass people on top just bossing everybody around. The working people can control the plantation. The working people can control the factories. So that's trillions of dollars. 40 acres and a mule for, what, 3 to 4 million black folks? That's trillions of dollars if you turn it into today's currency. So, in fact, you know, for white folks, it's only $500 billion compared to a $700 billion budget, right? We got a $700 billion military budget, so it's about as big as a military budget. So, in a way, you know, we got $22 trillion in debt right now. This is a major chunk of change, $500 billion, but it's actually pretty cheap compared to, you know, what it probably should be, or, you know, so $12,000. I don't know if it should be like that, but that's, you know, black folks should have got to work the farms that they were working on and keep those farms. So now because they didn't make the correct thing, now it's up to our generation to put us on the right course. So, yeah, okay, you know, that would have been poetic justice because those are the people perpetuating slavery, so therefore the people perpetuating is out, and then the people that was enduring slavery get, you know, get some land, and they can, you know, do something with their land. So, you know, we should have listened to William Tecumseh Sherman. Now that we're, you know, 200 years away from, you know, the end of the Civil War, only 50 years away from the end of segregation, or 60 years, 64, so just 50 years ago, segregation ended. So I guess what the argument I was trying to make is that white folks are getting off easy with just $12,000, $500 check. Yeah, it's $500 billion. Yeah, that's a shit ton of money. $12,000 check for all black folks for what? We didn't do nothing. They, you know, didn't endure anything we did to them, but there's residual. So that repairs the relationship. So white folks are getting off. Black folks are getting a $12,000 check. Now brown folks, they're kind of having to pay for the crimes for the racist ancestral whites. So they're not really getting anything in return. They're not getting a check. They're not being exonerated. And they have a mixed legacy, right? So what they're having to do is they're paying a little bit of taxes, and it's helping the historical crime that white folks did to black folks in America 200 years ago. And maybe the brown folks, maybe they could find some black blood in their genetics. If they find some black blood, then they could get, you know, reparations check. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what to do for brown folks because I agree with this overall idea, but this is a big, you know, monkey wrench into the whole plan. And it's not even a plan. It's just a thought that, you know, somebody thunk. So Marianne Williamson thought, you know, thunk a thought. Maybe we should figure out something for the brown folks. They didn't endure slavery, so they have a mixed legacy. Some are going to be racist slave owners, too. Some are going to be victims of racial terrorism. So, you know, which side were they on? And do we owe brown folks as a country anything? I guess the Native Americans, but they got land, right? So do we owe brown folks? I mean, I don't know. I like Cory Booker's baby bonds better. Cory Booker's baby bonds helps brown and black folks and white folks. Everybody gets helped. And it's race neutral. So he's got a race neutral plan that gives money to people with low wealth under $125,000 or less. So the poor folks who have parents that have a little bit of wealth, their kids are going to get, you know, $1,000 to $2,000 every year for 18 years. So they're going to end up with, you know, maybe $20, $30, $40, sometimes even $50,000 by the time that they turn 18, and then that $50,000 can turn into college or a down payment for a house. So Cory Booker's reparations plan is better than Marianne Williamson because it's a plan, it's more articulate. Marianne Williamson doesn't seem like she's actually being serious. She's not even in favor of plans whatsoever, sitting there saying Medicare for all is radical, but not reparations. Reparations isn't radical. You know, she's not going to lose to Donald Trump because of reparations. It's going to be universal health care, the thing we've been talking about forever. We just started talking about reparations. Reparations is more controversial than universal health care. So her logic doesn't, she's there to motivate, and you know, she's got a unique perspective, so I welcome her voice in the discussion. But her reparations plan is kind of it's got a big gaping hole into it when it comes to brown people. You know, some brown people I bet are black, some brown people probably are white, and some are white, brown, and black. Some are just brown. So does that clear things up? Do you see where we're at now? So the reparations, I agree with the notion, I agree with the idea. The way that we're going to, you know, get it implemented, the $12,000 check to all black folks, you know, I mean, what about getting a check for everybody? What if we got universal basic income, $1,000 a month for every American every year for the rest of our lives? So we don't just give black folks a one-time check of $12,000, but we give white, brown, and black folks a check of $1,000 per month for the 12 months for the rest of their lives. What if we did that? And so, you know, that's way better. Universal basic income, you know, it doesn't just repair the damage, but it uplifts everybody. And then Cory Booker's baby bonds, it helps poor kids out. And if, you know, you're under 18, you'll get, you know, some money. You'll get $1,000 or $2,000. It's not as much as I would like for it to be, but it helps because it's race neutral, and then it ends up helping black kids and brown kids more than white kids. White kids are going to end up with $16,000, black kids $28,000. So black kids end up getting more, but that's because their parents are poor. And so because it's a race neutral plan to close the racial wealth gap, it's a better plan than, you know, outright reparations. It's a kind of de facto reparations, but it's only like a small, you know, UBI. I mean, if you're okay with $12,000, you know, being put in your pocket one time only, why would you be opposed to $12,000 being put into your pocket every year until the day you die? Not just for you, not just for your kids, but for you, your grandmother, your cousins. Everybody gets $12,000 put into their account. So that's the deal for me. You know, white people get exonerated of slavery, right? Black folks get reparations. Shut the fuck up about slavery. We can focus on institutional racism. We can oppose outright racism, but saying that, you know, that this shit that happened, you know, so long ago, I'm the generation that fixed that relationship. And so if you get reparations, you got to shut the fuck up about slavery. But reparations probably isn't going to pass, so, you know, keep on complaining, keep on bitching about it. We do have outright racism, institutional racism today because of slavery. Slavery brought about the distinction of the races. White was free, black was not. So white and black come from slavery, comes from the racialization of slavery in America. And that was around the same time a German scientist invented the Caucasian race. I think it's 1795, Johann Blumenbach. So this racist scientist, he said the Caucasian race is scientifically, he's a scientist, right? So he proved it scientifically that the Caucasian race is the most beautiful race of people on the earth. So that's fantastic, right? So the racialization of slavery and then the invention of the Caucasian name for white people in 1795, this is the reason why we have the terms white and black today. So slavery brought about those, you know, that's a white person, that's a black person. I don't know my colors. I'm stupid. That's a social construction. I'm going to carry it on till I'm dead because... Why? Because you're a racist piece of shit? Yeah, you sure are. So, yeah. I mean, there it is, right? I feel like the deal, get reparations, shut up about slavery. You probably won't get reparations, so keep talking about slavery. But Marianne Williamson's reparations plan doesn't actually, there's a big gaping hole when it comes to brown folks, and there's a lot of details that I want to know who gets a check, who doesn't get a check. We're all doing DNA. How is she going to do this? $500 billion, that's the size of our military budget. So, you know, that's, Cory Booker actually has a plan, and Andrew Yang's plan would be a better reparations plan than Marianne Williamson. So Andrew Yang has a good reparations plan. Cory Booker has a good reparations plan. They're both race neutral, and they end up helping black folks. And Marianne Williamson she does not have a reparations plan. So only Andrew Yang and Cory Booker. You know, she'll be in favor of reparations if she gets elected, but is she going to get elected on reparations, and it's going to be a one-time check versus a check every month or for every kid? So, yeah, Cory Booker's reparations plan and Andrew Yang's reparations plan is way better than Marianne Williamson's. I don't even know if Marianne Williamson will be able to get this accomplished. She's going to have to write out a plan, and I don't know if she's, you know, in favor of doing that or not.